Have you ever sat down at your desk at 6 p.m., promising yourself that tonight is the night you finally catch up? You open your book with good intentions, but then you pick up your phone just for a second to check one notification. Suddenly, you look up and it's 10 p.m. You haven't written a single word. The guilt hits you in the chest like a heavy weight. You feel lazy, you feel behind, and worst of all, you look at the class topper, that one student who always seems calm, has time for video games, and still gets straight A's, and you think, I'm just not smart like them. Stop right there. I need you to listen to me carefully. The gap between you and that topper isn't intelligence, it isn't IQ, and it definitely isn't luck. The difference is their system. Average students rely on motivation, which comes and goes, but toppers rely on habits, which stay forever. Today, we are going to delete the average student version of you. I'm going to walk you through the 3 specific science-backed habits that change the game. We aren't talking about study harder. We're talking about rewriting your psychology so that success becomes automatic. If you're tired of the stress, the burnout, and the average marks, put your phone down, take a deep breath, and let's start. Let's start with the biggest lie you've been told about studying. Most students think studying means putting information into their heads, reading the textbook, highlighting notes, rereading the chapter, or watching a lecture. This feels like work, and it feels productive. But let me ask you, why does everything make sense when you read it, but the moment you sit in the exam hall, your mind goes blank? Here's the psychology behind it. This is called the illusion of competence. When you reread notes, your brain recognizes the text and says, oh yeah, I know this. But recognizing information is not the same as knowing it. Habit number 1 is shifting from passive input to active output. Toppers don't just consume, they create. There's a concept called active recall. Imagine your brain is like a forest. If you walk through a forest once by just reading, you don't make a path and the grass grows back immediately. But if you walk back and forth, struggling to push through the bushes by testing yourself, you carve a permanent trail. Every time you struggle to remember an answer, you are physically rewiring your brain. That struggle and frustration is exactly where the learning happens. So, how do you fix this today? Stop rereading and start blurting. Here's the blurting method. Read a section of your textbook for 10 minutes, then close the book and hide it. Take a blank sheet of paper and write down everything you remember. Scribble, draw arrows, make diagrams. Then open the book again and use a red pen to fill in what you missed. That red ink represents your knowledge gap, and that is what you need to focus on. Do this and you will learn in 1 hour what usually takes you 4. You will feel tired, yes, but that fatigue is the feeling of your brain getting stronger. Now that you know how to study, we have to talk about why you can't start. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, your phone. You sit down to study, but your brain feels itchy and you feel a pull to check Instagram, YouTube, or WhatsApp. You tell yourself, I'm a master multitasker, I can study and text. But listen to me closely. Multitasking is a myth. Habit number 2 is the dopamine defense. Your brain runs on a chemical called dopamine, the reward chemical. Social media is engineered by billion-dollar companies to hijack your dopamine with short videos, bright colors, and dinging sounds that give you instant, cheap rewards. Studying is slow, and the reward comes months later. When you try to study with your phone next to you, your brain is constantly fighting a battle, using energy just to ignore the phone. This is called attentional residue. Even if you don't look at the notification, just knowing it's there drains your battery. You aren't lazy, you're just chemically overstimulated. We need to make boring things feel easier by using the friction rule. Human beings are lazy by nature and follow the path of least resistance. If the phone is on the desk, checking it is easy. If the book is closed, studying is hard. We need to flip this. First, implement the phone exile. When you study, put your phone in another room, not in your pocket, not face down, but in another room. If you need it for studying, use Do Not Disturb or an app blocker to make it physically hard to access distractions. Second, use the 5-minute rule. Procrastination is just a fear of starting because the task looks too big. Lie to your brain and say, I will only study for 5 minutes, and if I hate it after 5 minutes, I can stop. Most of the time, once you start, the dopamine kicks in from the feeling of progress, and you won't want to stop. Finally, use deep work blocks. Study for 50 minutes and break for 10, but during the break, do not use your phone. If you check your phone on your break, you reset your focus. Walk around, drink water, or stare at a wall. Let your brain rest. Don't flood it with new information. Protect your focus like it's your bank account, because honestly, it's more valuable. So you have the technique and you have the focus, but why do you still crash after 3 days? Why do you have one super productive day followed by 4 days of doing absolutely nothing? This happens because you're managing your time, but you're ignoring your energy. Habit number 3 is the energy audit. Average students think toppers study 12 hours a day, so I need to study 12 hours a day. So they pull all-nighters, skip meals, and drink 5 cups of coffee. This is a disaster. Your willpower is like a battery that drains with every decision you make throughout the day. This is called decision fatigue. If you wake up in the morning and have to decide what to wear, what to eat, what subject to study, and where your notes are, your battery is at 50% before you even sit down. Toppers automate their lives to save energy for studying. First, adopt the night before routine. Never wake up without a plan. Every night before you sleep, take 5 minutes to write down the 3 most important tasks for tomorrow. Just 3. Lay out your clothes, put the books on the desk, and open the notebook to the right page. So when you wake up, you don't have to think, you just execute. Second, sleep is non-negotiable. I know you have a lot to cover, but sleep is when your brain moves information from short-term memory to long-term memory. If you study for 5 hours and sleep for 4 hours, you waste your time. If you study for 3 hours and sleep for 7 hours, you retain more. Prioritize sleep. It is not a luxury, it is a study tool. Finally, manage your peak state. Are you a morning person or a night owl? Don't fight your biology. If you're groggy in the morning, don't try to study math then. Do the easy stuff, like organizing notes, and save the heavy, difficult subjects for when your brain is most awake. Work with your body, not against it. I want to leave you with one final thought. Being a topper isn't about being a robot. It's not about giving up your life, your friends, or your happiness. In fact, the best students I know usually have more free time than the average ones. Why? Because they don't spend 8 hours trying to study while scrolling on their phone. They spend 3 hours doing deep, focused, real work, and then they enjoy the rest of their day guilt-free. You can be that student. It won't happen overnight. You might fail tomorrow, you might check your phone, you might miss a day. That's okay. Be kind to yourself. Just get back to the habits, active recall to retrieve information, dopamine defense to protect your focus, and the energy audit to protect your sleep. Start small. Maybe today you just hide your phone for 20 minutes. That's a win. You are capable of for 20 minutes. That's a win. You are capable of so much more than you think. The potential is sitting right there inside you, waiting for you to build the structure to let it out. I want you to do one thing right now. In the comments below, write down one distraction you're going to remove today. Just one. Let's hold each other accountable. If this video helped you feel a little less alone and a little more ready to take on the world, please hit that like button. It helps the channel reach more students just like you. And subscribe if you want more honest, science-backed guides to mastering your student life. Go drink some water, put the phone away, and go crush it. I believe in you. See you in the next one.